Good old Toy Story 2. If you clicked on this video, you probably remember playing this game a long time ago when you were a very small guy and your biggest fear in life was probably something like quicksand instead of whether you can buy a house or not. It'll either be that, or you're just sat here like, who is this prick trying to make a challenge video out of licensed PS1 sludge? Fair point, mate. Well done. I am Console Classics, or rather, we are Console Classics. While my esteemed older counterpart isn't actually here today, we normally just run through old games that we played when we were kids, kind of like Toy Story 2 here, because now we're grown up and have developed frontal lobes, we can really appreciate or just plain take the piss out of whatever we're doing. This actually isn't the first time I've had a look at this game for something a bit more interesting though. While making my run of this game without trying to collect any of its power-ups from Mr. Potato Head, I had a sniff around other parts of the game I could exploit for content slop and concluded, could I beat this game coinless? And that's what you're now about to see. Coins are a bog-standard, useless collectible thing across many games of this era. We know this, and in Toy Story 2, they're practically everywhere, along the main paths, inside broken enemies, and at seemingly impossible choke points too. Well, I don't care. I'm a tough boy, and to this I say, bring it on. Can we beat Toy Story 2 without collecting any coins? Well, I'd better be able to, or it's going to be embarrassing. First, give me a minute to explain how this game works and what our condition is to reach the end. Across this game, there are 15 levels to complete. These 5 are simple boss fights that don't contain any items, but the remaining 10 are open area sandbox levels with a recurring set of 5 objectives to complete. One of those objectives is to collect 50 coins and deliver them to Ham, which we're obviously not able to do. But what we are still able to do is defeat a mini-boss, win a timed challenge, collect 5 missing characters, and complete some random platforming or puzzle section. Completing these earns us Pizza Planet tokens, and the overall goal is just to collect as many of these as we can to unlock future levels and progress. The win condition's easy. We're just going to reach and clear the final boss at level 15 without collecting a single coin during our hunt for tokens. Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? Alright. Let's see how far we can get. Toy Story 2 Coinless Challenge is go for launch! Jumping straight into level 1 here, things look pretty normal to begin with, but as we make our way up into the attic rope to get our first token, we're already faced with a major issue. There are coins planted all the way up this climbable rope. Oh, what's that? You thought level 1 was going to be the easiest? Yeah, bun off, mate. It's borderlining on tutorial area. This place is going to be littered with our favourite shiny, yet deadly coins. But after carefully jumping over the table here to get a closer look, things are not entirely as they seem. For some reason, or probably just an oversight, the coins aren't centred right over the middle of the pole as you go up, which we can actually see when we spin the camera around. By positioning Buzz around the other side of the pole, and with some very, very precise double jumps on and off, we can get around each of these coins in turn and reach the attic without any issues. Keep this little trick in mind for now, because it does come back up a lot more in the future. After blowing up this tin robot with no effort, and grabbing one of Bo Peep's missing sheep, we can carefully drop back out of the attic and head down to the garage. There are no coins on the floor down here, so we can just race and beat RC with no issues, though climbing on top of the car and around the garage needs a little care because there's lots of coins in obvious places. Bo's second sheep was up in the garage, and now here in the lounge we can get a third sheep and Mr. Potato Head's missing ear for later. In the basement, we can trade the vegetable's ear to him for a ride in the hamster ball. Hooray! Crossing over the slime, and then begin climbing around the basement for a fourth sheep and this random platforming token. The only coins we really need to watch for in here are these ones hanging from the ceiling lights, but as long as you watch your height when you double jump, you can just catch the pole between the coins safely. Our final stop in this level is in the kitchen, where it gets a little bit more tricky. Normally, you're supposed to shove this box over to the chair to climb on the counters, but this one singular coin is in the way, and you cannot get around it without automatically picking it up as you climb. Instead, climbing onto the table where Bo is, then making a very awkward jump onto the top of this chair here without falling off, gives us enough distance to make a shortcut double jump straight over to this side of the counter, when we can then proceed normally for Bo's last sheep and catch in with her. So we're off to a great start here. That's 4 out of 5 tokens, but obviously we're not getting the 5th one because it's entirely on collecting coins, and we hate coins where I come from. The results screen even proves it right here, 0. See that? 0. Hopefully, if you didn't get the gist of what we're doing already, running through level 1 here quickly shows that off quite well. We're aiming to get 4 tokens in every level going forwards. Right away in level 2, we're going to a strange and unfamiliar realm known as outside! With all this unknown green stuff on the floor. If someone can let me know what that is, that would be great. The level's pretty open and sandboxy as usual, and most coins can be platformed around in a standard way, but there are a few places I really want to point out here which kinda suck for being so early on. First up are these small gaps in the fences that split each room up, but they have piles of coins running through them. You can carefully creep around these just fine, but you've got to do it a couple times back and forth, which gets quite annoying. Now, over in this yard over here is a platforming puzzle to get one of the missing green army men. The puzzle's easy enough on its own, but it begins with us needing to stomp on these buttons to inflate the car tyres so that we can climb up. With these coins floating right over each button, it's just not possible to hit the buttons. But, luckily for us, we can just skip this whole piece of the puzzle by coming over here, climbing on the trash can, then making a tight leap all the way over to the ledge. And that's about it for the ground floor section of this area, given we can collect this token from the rubber ducky puzzle, and this other one from Racing RC again. But the real struggle with this level comes from trying to climb the giant tree. There are coins placed in really obvious spaces at the beginning of the climb, especially on the tyre swing right here, which makes it super difficult to get across without touching anything. Once that's done, we've got to take care to position Buzz on the correct side of the rope again, to double jump around more coins on the way up, kinda like we saw in Andy's attic. Climbing the tree in and of itself isn't too difficult, mind you. The leaves are wide enough to walk or jump around most coins, but it's just this tyre swing that's the real problem. At the top of the tree, we can challenge and beat the Zerg kite for our 3rd token. We were also able to collect all 5 green army men on the way around the level without much issue, so we can end the level by jumping out of the tree and cashing in with their sergeant. That's 4 out of 4 again, and the bank account is still empty. Just like real life. Easy stuff, let's keep it up. Level 3 here is our first boss fight against this random model plane. Apparently it has personal beef with Buzz Lightyear, which I wasn't aware of. Now, as we already discussed at the beginning of the video, the boss levels have nothing inside them to worry about. There are no coins, and there are no power-ups if you're still concerned about that from last time, so there's really nothing for me to talk about here, is there? Moving on to level 4, you can clearly tell this is the part where the developers didn't have a clue what to do with Buzz's setting. Are we supposed to assume that while Woody was meeting his roundup gang, Buzz and friends were just out in the yard getting forklift certified or something? What's also good news for us is that the coins around this level are placed pretty sparsely. Beginning with this office area, and also outside and around the construction itself, there's really only one notable choke point that I'd like to discuss as far as the coin collection goes. Each of the 5 missing Little Tykes men are in easy to find places. We can mix this very drinkable looking paint up for our first token with no issues. Then we can head over to the cement layer and challenge Slinky Dog for the next one. Do you guys reckon Slink just does this sort of challenge for fun, or do you think he's just sort of trapped in the middle of the cement and is crying out for help? Well, I don't care, I got my token. Now, with most of the ground floor collection out of the way, we come to the choke point I mentioned just now, and it's right up here. To begin climbing the construction site, we need to get on board this excavator and have its scoop lift us up to higher ground, but the only way up there is with this ladder that's filled with really awkward and pesky coins on every step. The platforming's insanely tight, but it's just barely doable if you're careful and stay close to the edge, and it certainly took me more than enough tries to piss me off a bit, but still, we're up here and we can start the rest of the level. While climbing the construction site, I found more Little Tykes men, Mr. Potato Head's missing eye, which we can go back down and trade to him for this useless frisbee, and some switches to trigger an elevator back up the way we came. That means I've only got to do the awkward ladder climb just the one time. At the very top, we can pelt some useless frisbees at the jackhammer boss for another token finally, collect the last of the Little Tykes, then cash out and end the level completely coinless again. We've gone 4 out of 4, and I couldn't be happier. Last time I did a Toy Story 2 video, this level was the first one to cock up my progress because I didn't want to chuck frisbees at the boss, so being able to leave with everything feels like some good redemption. Anyway, Level 5 is pretty dingy and sucky, and it introduces a gimmick that actually makes doing coinless pretty tough, but as a special twist, I'm actually only going to do half of this level now, and come back for the rest much later. That's because, to get every token in this level, you need access to a grappling hook power-up, which we can't get until a different level, where we'll then have to return later to use it properly. That probably sounds annoying on paper, but I just finished playing Banjo-Tooie twice in a row, so this sort of thing's bread and butter for me at this point. For now, we'll head over to this end of the level. The ziplines here have sparks running along them which knock you down if you touch them, which on a regular game is, well, it's literal child's play to avoid. Come on, Robert, this is a child's game. But when there's coins on the zipline, getting caught trying to jump around them before the sparks catch up from behind is a bit more difficult. It's still doable, as is climbing up and over all these obstacles down here, and as a fine piece of cheddar cheese, I think we deserved a half for our efforts so far. I'm going to skip the intended way to get this puzzle token. You're supposed to inflate some balloons and then ride them across, or you can simply do this, and run across the rooftop instead. Over here on the other side of the level is Slinky Dog again, who is once again just making us collect random bullshit for him, because he's once again probably gotten bored and stranded on this island in the storm drain. It's not going well for poor Slink, is it? Well, that's the 2 tokens I wanted to get from this area for now. We'll bail out of here with 2 out of 4, completely coinless as expected, and get going. Level 6! It's another boss fight, right on schedule. There's still no coins or anything else like that, so this one's free. I really like the Slime Time boss because it doesn't actually have a standard health bar, it's just a button mashing test to get him back in the can. He's also very, very green. Al's Toy Barn's our scene for level 7 here, and there's a fair amount to do, but once again, this is a level where we're going to have to leave it early and come back later with a different power-up before we can get everything. Right off the bat, we'll need to climb over these counters which are littered with way too many coins, and way too many whiny vegetable men for my liking. We can carefully jump and climb around these coins to get up top, and then take some long jumps across the counters to grab the Spud Man's missing arm. But even just talking to him here to return it is a bit of a risk, because the game teleports Buzz to a fixed position for the dialogue. In a bout of sheer dumb luck, Buzz gets placed around and in between all of these coins so he can receive the rocket boots without collecting any of them. As for the rest of the level, we're only going to be doing some rooms near the back of the store for some quick tokens. First thing we're going to do is this racing challenge with this absolute rooster of an NPC, running all the way from back to front of the store for the first token. Then we'll head into the back office and use our coveted useless frisbee on these desk drawers to reach a second one. Then finally, make a careful climb through this warehouse to fight the dinosaur boss at the back. Easy enough stuff, right? The coins in this room aren't even remotely close to being in the way, so now we have 3 tokens from this area. We're going to bail out now and come back near the end of the game for a 4th one, where we collect the missing chicks. But believe me, that part of the level has a few really more challenging sections you'll want to have a look at. Stay tuned, okay? Right into level 8 here. It's still my favourite, though right from the get-go it has a pretty tricky platforming section to pull off. We've got to jump between each pole on the ceiling decorations, which is made a lot harder by the coins scattered halfway along each of the poles. Being careful with our jump height is all good and easy to get used to as we go along, but a little bit further up is this rude and mischievous enemy who wants to knock Buzz down to the beginning with its laser beam. Luckily, we're able to make it to the top, pick up this little green man who definitely couldn't get down on his own, and then jump down into the boss arena. This fight is against a much cooler Buzz Lightyear than ourselves, and his car even fires homing missiles as. Imagine drunk driving one of these things. Across the way here is a platforming section with these pretty awkwardly placed coins, but also a lot of enemies all up in our business. To be honest, up until now, the enemies haven't really been much of a threat by themselves, and I've just been ignoring or zipping past them, but in case you forgot, each enemy drops another coin when it's defeated, so not only am I going to have to take them out from a distance, we've also got to wait until the coins despawn before we move on. With all that said and done, we can grab a second token out of the claw machine here, save this little green man from drowning in a ball pit, and then move on. With the power of the hamster ball, we can survive this barrage of lasers in the back shelves, then carefully climb up and pass these coins to higher ground, then pick up 2 more little green men along the way. That's easy enough platforming, there's not really a lot of coins in this zone. So here's the final section of level 8. It's a zipline race against whatever this guy is supposed to be, and the zipline is a very, very big problem. All we need to do is catch each zipline in one jump and we'll outrun the little guy, but the ziplines are absolutely teeming with these rude, horrible, and downright scandalous coins. We can certainly jump off and onto the ziplines again to dodge them all, but if we do that, we won't be able to win the race and claim the token we need. Truly, we're stuck between a cock and a hard place on this one little race alone. And I took a good long while reloading and trying it over and over just to see what could be done. I damn near got my master's degree in zipline jumping just for this. Yet still, this villainous little bastard always had the upper hand in the race, and clearly has no respect for us space rangers living in a cash-free society. So we, very unfortunately, have had to forfeit this token, grab the last little green man at the end of the race, and cash out of here with only 3 out of 4. That really sucks, but also, consider how far we've made it so far with 0 coins. We're over halfway to the end, and this is the first time we haven't been able to collect something without succumbing to bacon-induced capitalism, so for that I'm pretty satisfied. Surely with this level of success we're going to be fine to reach the end. Surely. Level 9! Boss fight. Yep, you knew it. You knew this was coming. Still my favourite boss fight too. I mean, look at him. He's just a normal enemy, but they made him really, really big. They made him massive. Sensational. Speaking of normal enemies, this boss can drop them in as backup, which you might think could make it more difficult for our challenge, but they actually removed the coins from these enemies entirely when you defeat them, so there's no issues if we destroy them up close. You know, it's like the game threw me a bone after what we just experienced. That's not so bad, right? Level 10 gives us the elevator scene from the movie. Last time I was here with a challenge run, it got completely and utterly balked by one segment involving Mr. Potato Head and his feet, but this time around, we're going to have to make an uneasy alliance with that so we can use the grappling hooks and access the rest of the level. The way up through the vents here is about as simple as it comes, but there are some coins on a certain few grappling spots here that you've essentially got to know were there before you make the grapple up, because you'll accidentally collect them if you go head on. By standing off at a side angle, you can touch the very edge of the next platform, then you've got to very, very carefully turn Buzz around on the spot to move away from the coin. You can't even jump at this point, that's how close it comes. It doesn't look like a huge issue in practice here, but think about this for a moment. If you know this level's layout, you'd know that getting up this elevator vent is the key to earning any single one of the tokens in this level, and you need at least one in order to leave and move on with the game. So if these coins right here were placed even mere pixels closer to the edge, that could well have just been game over for us right there, in the same place as before. Huge to think about, right? Either way, we're able to successfully climb all the way up to this control room with no coins, carefully jump around the coin on this step here, then start up the elevator so we can climb even further and start bagging tokens. As far as coin collection goes, that's pretty much all of the difficult parts taken care of. Just while explaining the grappling hook section, I've collected 3 of the lost wind-up mice in this area, grabbed the puzzle token included with starting the elevator up, and now we can complete the spider boss fight for free, race a token back down to the bottom of the shaft courtesy of this deadbeat dad mouse, and find the remaining baby mice to cash in back at the control room. Easy 4 out of 4 here, 0 complaints. Still a big fan of this level from when I was a youngster. Moving into Al's penthouse for level 11 now. I'm delighted to report that we can grab 4 tokens out of this level too. And coins are pretty avoidable for the most part, although the platforming gets pretty tight later on and some optional parts actually are impossible to do without grabbing some coinage, which I'll show you in a moment. We start by picking up Bullseye's horseshoes around the lounge area for token number 1. Next, there's a platforming section to reach the top of this room, and while these coins look like they're in difficult spots, it is barely possible to just inch around them as we make the jump. Now, this red button on the floor clearly isn't possible. If we stomped on this, we'd end up grabbing the coin above it, and there's quite a few red buttons like this all over the place, but they only control the cannons Al set up over his... Actually, yeah, why has he done this to himself? Like, can you imagine being Al's beloved house guest and then getting slimed the fuck out by like a heavy artillery system he's just got on his coffee table? That's... Why would you... That's absurd. I kind of want one though. Anyway, with this section clear, we head over to Al's bedroom, climb up to these train tracks, and solve this puzzle where we have to stomp on buttons to redirect the little train. These buttons have coins floating over them too, but they're also a little bit wider, so with a very precise angle, we can stomp on the corner of the button to activate and change the right tracks. With the train out of the way, we can engage in even more and climb up here for the token. Moving on to the studio area, we can platform around to fight the gunslinger boss. Now with 3 tokens out of the way, all that's left is to find Jesse's 5 missing... what are these things even supposed to be anyway? I've never had a clue. To me it's like Jesse walked into the pet store and then just asked for 1 animal, please. We've got 3 of these things so far, and the 4th one is at the top of this bathroom puzzle, where we have to stomp on blue buttons to flood the room and climb even higher up, which is all well and good until this button, which has a coin over it. I will say now, this button here sucked, and I spent longer here than I'm willing to admit, but I noticed that like with the climbing poles, the coin is slightly offset from the center, so once again, with mere pixels of movement, I was able to get into the corner and stomp the button down while successfully remaining piss poor. Our last stop is here in the kitchen, easy enough to dodge the coins and grab the last creature before cashing them all in and leaving with 4 tokens. Wonderful stuff. Level 12. Oh yeah, it's boss fight o'clock. There's still no coins here as usual, so Zurg is a free win for us. It's also a pretty fun boss fight because he's immune to Buzz's laser. If you want to beat Zurg, you've got to get up close to him and go for a good old Space Ranger spin. Oh boy, level 13 here! Not much left to go now, and the airport's just the same as what we've seen so far, really. There's quite a lot of climbing to be done to get the missing guys in this level, and that starts in the beginning room here by launching onto the top platforms, then jumping around all these coins to get over. Next is this really long, exhausting platforming section for the second little guy, before falling all the way to the ground floor to take part in this useless powerlifting challenge because Rocky can't look after his own equipment. What are you even doing here, mate? You should be at home. Collecting 4 of these 5 weights is no issue if you know where they all are, but the 5th one under the conveyor belt overlaps a little bit with a coin, so you just need to be a bit careful what angle you approach to pick up the weight while leaving the coin behind. That's 1 token out of the way, so we move through into the maintenance bay here. The platforms are pretty thin, which makes jumping around all the coins on them quite tough, but on our way up this little jungle gym, we can find Mr. Potato Head's lost mouth, 2 more missing guys, and by exploiting this sealed power-up box as a platform, we can grab the token at the top in the ceiling early. Finally, here in the luggage bay, we can give the Spud his mouth back in exchange for the hover boots, use them to float all the way up and challenge the Prospector, violently snap his neck in less than 15 seconds, then find the last little guy at the top of this room and cash them all in for another fresh, crunchy 4 out of 4 tokens here. We're already gone! We're already done! It's level 13, we're done! You think this level would be more involved given it's near the end of the game, right? So we're approaching level 14 now, but we've got to go on a couple of side quests first. You didn't forget, did you? There's still more we can accomplish in some earlier levels now that we have access to every power-up of Mr. Potato Head. So we'll start off by making a return to the most well-maintained streets in Birmingham, where the other 2 tokens were left behind and waiting, and with help from the grappling hook now, we can go on a little expedition to the rooftops. The way up here has several coins in awkward places, including along zip lines with running sparks again, on thin balconies and beams, and even the classic slightly off-center on a climbing pole, but once again, with the correct camera angle and a well-timed double jump, we can get around all of this. There are a couple of lost rubber duckies to collect on the way, and at the very top of the roof, we can battle against this spinning top clown thing. It's an easy enough fight if you just counterspin when he's about to hit you, but you've got to be extremely careful as you beat him, because just like normal enemies, this dastardly and devious clown is hiding a truly evil little coin inside his body, which you could pick up entirely by accident if you're moving towards him when you spin, before you even know it. But we can avoid that by standing still on his final hit and letting him come towards us before spinning. Problem solved. Besides the clown boss, we're missing 3 more rubber duckies, which we could actually find in parts of the level we've been to before, although a couple of them required using the rocket boots we didn't have at the time, and great care not to go flying into nearby coins as we go, so we can depart level 5 for a second time, with all of its tokens under our utility belt. Back to level 7! So back here, we're looking for some feathered little guys, and in truth, We could have had most of them the first time round, but not only would that progress all be lost when we left the level, most of them are in really awkward places in the map that could do with some explanation. We already got chick number 1 from this big egg because it's used as a practice race before getting a token out of there. Chick number 2 is on top of these gumball machines, and there's an entirely new racing segment designed just for it, where you're supposed to switch on this kid's ride, platform around the entire checkout bay to reach it in time, then be launched all the way over to claim the chick as a prize. But, well, you saw what just happened there? The launch from the ride flings Buzz right into coins, and the flight path is fixed without any time for me to steer out of the way. So what we've got to do instead is take a very, very precise angle right here next to Mr. Potato Head, step forward to grab the rocket boots, then immediately make a double jump off the counter and thread the needle between the coins on the ledge while still keeping control of Buzz. It's a lot more difficult than it looks here, but then after that, we've just got to wait for this useless animal to waddle over us because it's sitting under the coin. That's a whole lot of effort for just one lost thing, isn't it? Our third chick required the hover boots we just unlocked in the airport, but after that it's just a simple platforming area where we've just got to wait for the chick to come to us again. Now, the last 2 chicks are both in the back areas around here. There's just a few coins in the way here, with a very special shout out to the 2 at the top of this jump rope and between the bike wheels, but besides that, it's basically free. We can cash in and grab the token from Al's Toy Barn, putting us at a redeemed 4 out of 4 in this level 2. Oof, side quests are over with, and I'm so pleased to say level 14 on the airport tarmac has virtually no coins in the way of Buzz's objectives anymore. The level's split into 8 numbered zones, and besides the pig who must not be named sat on his own in zone 5, everywhere has a part to play that I'll run through quickly right now. The centre island has a challenge from a clearly still very bored and understimulated Slinky Dog, who wants us to run through a maze without jumping. But by some miracle, all of the coins in the maze are right on the edges, so we can run right past them. Zones 2, 4, 6 and 8 all have a lost luggage for us to pick up, while the 5th one is being on top of the plane circling around, which we can climb up to get from the centre pole here. Zone 7 features a boss fight against what I can only describe as Discount Thor, who was promptly turned into mash on the ground in under 15 seconds again. Finally, Zone 1 has a puzzle where we help this helicopter land. And there you go, 4 out of 4 tokens done again, and to be honest, I don't even think I was fully conscious as I was running around this final area. The coins are placed so far apart on the tarmac that you can't really grab any by accident, which is a pretty nice way to wrap up this challenge, especially compared to the effort we put in for the first few levels. So that's that. Besides one singular token at Al's Spaceland, we were able to grab every other token in the game without collecting a single coin, for a grand total of 39 out of a possible 40. You know what time it is, kids. Level 15's a boss fight to end it off. Let's get right to it. Oh no. You're telling me that at the very end, when there's not even any coins left, that there's a token requirement to finish the game?
No! No, no, no! No! No, 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 no!
So, each of the 5 boss levels has a minimum number of tokens required to play it and move on. If you meet the requirements before you get there, you just won't see the number. And in the early game, that's really easy to do. I mean, look at Bombs Away here. You only need 3 tokens, and you can't even get here with less than 2, so point proven. But as you go on, the game gets a little bit more demanding, and so by the end here, it's, well, you can see it for yourself. We needed 40 out of the grand total of 50, but, like, come on, man. Being short by just the 1 token sucks so much. This little bastard is going on my hit list, right next to Ham. So, unfortunately, we've got to wrap this up with a heavy heart and answer our question from the beginning. Can we beat Toy Story 2 without collecting any coins? Well, the answer's right here, folks. What? You didn't think I'd throw in the towel and settle for that, did you? No, absolutely not. I've cocked up enough challenge runs on this channel so far. This time, I've got a special trick up my sleeves. This game has some version differences. Yeah, you can tell they didn't have much to work with on the N64, right? It's God, look at that sound, that's horrible. It's practically the same game as the PlayStation version we've just been looking at, but because we're on a cartridge instead of a disc, there's some very obvious differences, like the soundtrack being horribly crushed, and the levels, they open with... Look at the levels, they open with static pictures instead of real movie clips. But, for some really strange reason, they also changed the token requirements for some of the boss fights. We just picked up 39 without any coins, right? 39 tokens completely coinless, not enough, PlayStation, skill issue. To access the final showdown on this game, we suddenly only need 30. No, please don't close the video, please don't close the video. I'm not going to make you watch it all over again. I'll compress it down. I'll compress it all down. I just want to prove that we can do all the same things we did before, and actually win the game this time. Okay then, my friends. Are you ready to watch this cringe compilation unfold? Toy Story 2 for N64 without collecting a single coin. Let's count it down. Okay, alright, I'm back. I was able to get all the same tokens we saw before, with that one exception you just saw at Al's penthouse, but just as I promised, level 15 is finally open for business. Are you guys ready to kick the teeth out of the Prospector and his weird henchman again? We're going to be fighting all three at once this time up in the cargo hold of this plane, and good lord, what has happened to Woody's face? Oh, bro! Oh, no, you can't. I know the N64 has some chopped textures, but look at no, absolutely not. No, I take it back. I can't. Stinky Pete can have Woody. I can't. I'm done. Hello, my friends. If you're still here at the very end, thank you so very much for watching. It means the world to us, and if you'd like to support us for my efforts, well, you know which buttons to press. I think I'm done with Toy Story 2 for now, though. In fact, I've already got my eyes on the next challenge video. It's for a game I'm way overdue on going back to. Keep in touch, okay?